Mr. Benny, sir, you show you're suing your father for $60,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Happened?
The hardwood floor squeaked under the force of the pivot. Benny Crespo didn't just play basketball, he dominated the court. He was the team captain, the 4.0 student, the face of the
I didn't have a good
university's
relationship with my
athletic
father.
program.
I wish I did.
He saw the
There's gonna
scouts
come
in
a
the
day
stands,
when your
their
mom isn't going to be
pens
here.
scratching
And on
notes.
that day,
He smiled,
you will
knowing
cry,
they were writing
you
his
will cry,
future.
You will cry.
Trophies lined every shelf in his room, gleaming gold. Academic awards hung on the wall, framed in expensive wood. His NIL deal had already put 6 figures in his bank account. Benny looked at his reflection in the polished gold. He saw a man who had earned everything he was ever given. Across town, the sun had not yet risen, but Omar Crespo's office light was on. He sipped bitter mate from a worn gourd, the one he brought from Argentina. He came to this country at 21 with nothing but a willingness to work. His hands, now soft from paperwork, remembered the feel of a factory floor. He looked at a framed photo of a 5-year-old Benny on his shoulders. Omar ran the numbers for his import business one more time. A good quarter, a very good year. He had built this company from a single shipping container. He sacrificed his youth so his son would never have to. He closed the ledger, satisfied with the cost. Benny swiped through his phone, scrolling past dozens of notifications. Friends, admirers, brand deals. He had an image to maintain, a standard to uphold. He lived in his father's house, but he lived in his own world. A world where success was expected and rewards were guaranteed. Omar remembered a conversation at the dinner table 10 years ago. "Get a perfect report card, Benny, and I'll get you that bike." Benny had produced a flawless row of A's. The bike was waiting for him, new and shining. A promise made, a promise kept. 5 years later, it was a car for getting his driver's license. "Just stay focused on school, son, no trouble." Benny had been a model student, a model son. The keys to a reliable sedan were placed in his hand. This was the contract they lived by. "A 4.0 GPA in college, Benny, that's impressive. And captain of the team, Papa." Omar had clapped his son on the back, his chest swelling with pride. "You keep this up, son. A great reward is coming." "I know, Papa. I'm working for it." Benny saved the screenshot to his phone. A Lamborghini Urus, matte black. It was the car he talked about with his teammates. It was the car that matched his status, his ambition. It was the car his father had all but promised him. In his room, he checked his bank account again. The $50,000 from his NIL deal was a good start. But the car he wanted cost 5 times that. A 21st birthday was a milestone, and his father, Omar, always celebrated milestones. Omar sat in his office looking at a different browser tab, a $40,000 electric vehicle. It was safe, it was responsible, it was smart. It was a good car, a solid car. A car for a college student, not a superstar. He thought about his own 21st birthday. He had worked a 14-hour shift on a loading dock. He had eaten a small cake alone in his rented room. He wanted to give his son the world, but he also wanted his son to understand its weight. The house was quiet the week of the birthday. Benny was polite, helpful, almost serene. He carried the groceries in from his father's car. "Big day coming up, Papa." "Yes, son, it is." Omar saw the expectation in his son's eyes. He had seen the car magazines left on the coffee table. He recognized the subtle manipulative pressure. It was a game his son had learned to play well, a game that his father himself had taught him. A promise of a great reward was not a contract for a supercar. It was a father's encouragement, not a legal bond. Omar felt a knot of stubbornness tighten in his chest. His son was a great student, a great athlete, but he had not yet learned the lesson of gratitude. Benny filmed a quick video for his social media. "Big 21st coming up. You guys aren't ready for the new car reveal." He winked at the camera, a flash of white teeth. He was already performing for his audience. The light count climbed instantly. The night before the birthday, Omar couldn't sleep. He walked into the garage looking at the empty space. The new electric car was being delivered in the morning. He felt a sudden cold premonition. This gift, meant to teach a lesson, might start a war. Benny, too, was awake. He was mentally clearing a space in the garage for the Lamborghini. He planned his first drive, the route he would take. He would drive past the campus, slowly. He would let everyone see what his father thought of him. Two men, a father and a son, in the same house, both dreaming of a car. One saw a symbol of status he had earned. The other saw a tool for a lesson that had to be taught. The gap between them was wider than the ocean Omar had crossed. The sun rose on Benny's 21st birthday. Omar stood in the kitchen with a single key fob in his hand. He heard his son's footsteps on the stairs, light and eager. The promise was about to be fulfilled, and a family was about to be broken. A large metallic bow was stuck to the hood of the new car in the driveway. It was a high-end electric sedan, sleek and silent. Omar stood beside it, hands in his pockets, a proud smile on his face. Benny walked out the front door, his phone already recording for his followers. His smile was wide, expectant, and aimed at the camera. He stopped filming instantly. His eyes scanned the car, looking for a logo that wasn't there. This was not a Lamborghini. This was not a Porsche or a Ferrari. "What is this?" he asked, his voice flat. "It's your birthday present," Omar said, his own smile faltering. "It's the best on the market, 0 emissions." Benny slowly walked around the car, his face a mask of disbelief. He touched the charging port with one finger, as if it were dirty. "You're joking." "This is not a reward, Papa. This is an insult." "An insult? It's a $40,000 car, Benny." "You call this a luxury car?" Benny's voice rose, sharp with contempt. "First, you can't even hear it. It has no engine. Second, I have to charge it. If I wanted to charge something, I'd charge my phone." Omar's face hardened, the pride dissolving into shock. "I started with nothing, Benny, nothing." "This isn't about you, Papa. This is about me. This is about the promise you made. You promised me a great reward, not a basic appliance." Benny's mother watched from the kitchen window, her hand over her mouth. She had warned Omar this was a mistake. She had seen the entitlement her husband's success had bred. Now she watched the two men she loved stand on opposite sides of the driveway. It felt like they were on opposite sides of the world. "I have an image to uphold," Benny shouted finally. "I'm the captain. Everyone at school knows who I am. I can't pull up in this thing. Do you know how disrespectful this is?" He was gesturing wildly, his athletic grace replaced by pure fury. "Disrespectful?" Omar's voice was dangerously quiet now. "I gave you private schools. I gave you this house. I gave you a life I only dreamed of. And you stand there, an ungrateful child, complaining about a free car? You don't deserve it." The words hit Benny like a physical blow. "I don't deserve it?" he repeated slowly. "The 4.0 GPA? The championships? The full scholarship? I held up my end of the deal. You didn't. You broke your promise." Benny's phone buzzed on the hood of the car, a text from a teammate. "Where's the Lambo pic?" He snatched the phone, his thumb hovering over the camera. He looked at the modest electric sedan. He felt a hot, burning shame wash over him. "You want a Ferrari? Omar said, stepping closer. You go to the NBA. You get drafted. You buy your own Ferrari. That is how the world works. I got you a nice car. You should say thank you. I worked hard for this, Benny, just like I worked for everything. Your work doesn't matter to me, Benny said, his voice cold. My work is what matters. I did well in the classroom. I did well in sports. You promised you would reward me greatly. This is not greatly, Papa. Benny turned and walked back into the house. He slammed the door so hard a picture frame fell in the hallway. Omar was left alone in the driveway. He looked at the expensive car, the ridiculous bow. He felt a failure deeper than any business loss. For 3 days the house was silent. Benny stayed in his room, the door locked. Omar went to work, his shoulders slumped. They ate at different times, 2 ghosts sharing a home. The new car sat untouched in the driveway, a monument to their division. Benny was not just angry, he was calculating. He researched online, looking up contract law, verbal agreements, promissory estoppel. He saw his father's words not as a parent's love, but as a bad business deal. He felt he was the one who had been wronged. He found a lawyer, a young, no-win, no-fee type. He explained the situation, framing it as a breach of contract. He listed his achievements as consideration for the agreement. The lawyer, seeing a viral case, smiled. You have standards, Benny. It's important to have standards in life. A week later, a certified letter arrived. Omar signed for it at the door. He opened it in the kitchen. He read the legal summons, his name listed as the defendant. The plaintiff was Benny Crespo. He read the claim, $60,000, the estimated price of a used high-end luxury sports car, plus damages for emotional distress. He read the words emotional distress 3 times. He couldn't breathe. He walked upstairs and knocked on Benny's door. Benny, open this door. The lock clicked and the door opened. Benny stood there, dressed for the gym, his bag over his shoulder. Don't talk to me, Benny said. Talk to my lawyer. Omar held the paper out, his hand shaking with a rage he had never known. You are suing your father? Benny looked at him, his eyes as cold as a courtroom. You broke a promise. You have to learn. The incident was complete. The courtroom was small, but the tension made it feel crowded. Fluorescent lights hummed over the polished wood. Omar Crespo sat at the defendant's table, his work suit feeling stiff. Benny Crespo sat opposite him, looking calm, flanked by his young lawyer. A father and son, separated by 10 feet of legal-grade carpet. The Honorable Judge Porter, a man known for his stern wisdom, entered. He looked at the case file, his expression unreadable. Case number 7313, Benny Crespo versus Omar Crespo. He read the names, then looked over his glasses at the 2 men. You mind telling the court what happened, Mr. Benny? Benny stood, his posture as perfect as it was on the court. It's a long story, Your Honor. Pretty much, my father promised me a great reward. He promised me this for all the great things I've done growing up. If I did well in the classroom, well in sports, he'd reward me greatly. Benny's lawyer stood up, a sheaf of papers in his hand. Your Honor, this is a simple case of a broken contract. My client, Mr. Benny Crespo, entered into a verbal agreement with his father. The terms were clear: exemplary performance in academics and athletics. In exchange, a great reward was promised. The lawyer began to list Benny's achievements like evidence. A 4.0 grade point average, Your Honor, for his entire college career. A full-ride academic and athletic scholarship. He is the captain of his university basketball team. He has an NIL deal worth $50,000. This is a young man who understands and delivers on his commitments. Benny looked at his father as his lawyer spoke. There was no remorse in his eyes, only conviction. He had done the work. He had met the standard. This was just business. "And what was this great reward?" Judge Porter asked, leaning forward. Benny spoke up again. "For my 21st birthday, I asked for a luxury car, a Porsche, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari. I have standards, Your Honor. It's important to have standards in life." A murmur went through the small gallery. Omar's wife sat in the back, her eyes closed. Omar himself just stared at his son. He didn't see a man with standards. He saw a stranger. "And what did he gift you instead?" the lawyer prompted. "He gave me a basic electric vehicle," Benny said, his voice filled with disdain. "It's not really a vehicle, I would say. You have to charge it. It has no motor, no engine. It was disrespectful." "Disrespectful?" the judge interrupted, his voice sharp. "Yes, Your Honor," Benny said, unflinching. "I have an image to uphold. Everyone at school knows who I am. I am an only child. He can spend his whole budget on me. The fact he even considered a cheap car is the issue." The lawyer stepped forward again. "Mr. Omar Crespo is not a poor man, Your Honor. We are not here to disclose his finances, but he can afford this. He can afford a Lamborghini. His decision to withhold the promised reward was a deliberate choice." "We are suing for $60,000, the lawyer stated, "the approximate value of a high-end luxury vehicle, and for emotional distress. My client has suffered humiliation. His reputation among his peers and his public has been damaged." Benny looked at the judge, his expression earnest. "He's not keeping his promise. I'm of age now, the time is here. My birthday and Christmas are close together. For years, he would combine them, but he got a pay rise. With that pay rise comes greater rewards, as he promised me." Benny's logic was cold, simple, and practiced. He had rehearsed this. He saw the courtroom as another home game, and he was here to win. Omar watched, his hands gripping the table. He saw the son he had raised for 21 years. He saw the private schools he had paid for. He saw the hours of practice he had attended. He saw all his sacrifice being twisted into a legal argument. "Mr. Benny," the judge said, "you live in your father's house, correct?" "Yes, Your Honor, for now. And this $50,000 NIL deal, you get to keep that." "Yes, Your Honor." "And the school is a full-ride scholarship, paid for." "Yes, Your Honor." Benny's lawyer interjected quickly. "Your Honor, those facts are not in dispute. My client earned those things independently. This case is about a separate agreement between a father and a son, an agreement his father broke." Benny felt confident. His argument was logical. A promise is a promise. Work must be rewarded. He had done the work, and he was demanding his reward. He was the victim here. He was the one who was promised one thing and given another. It was a classic bait and switch. His father was in the wrong, and the court would see it. He just wanted what he was owed. Judge Porter looked at Benny for a long, silent moment. The plaintiff had made his case. The son had laid out his argument against his father. "Mr. Omar," the judge said, turning, "your turn." Omar Crespo stood slowly, his plain suit seeming out of place. He was not a man for podiums, he was a man for an office. "Your Honor, please," he began, his voice thick. "I don't want you to get the wrong impression. This is by no way an extension of the way I brought him up. I assure you, this is not the boy I raised. He is a transformed person. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe he's doing this to his father." Omar looked at Benny, who refused to meet his gaze. Judge Porter gestured for him to explain. "Sir, please explain to me what is going on." "If I may," Omar said, gripping the podium, "I came to this country when I was 21 years old, from Argentina. I came without anyone. My parents died when I was 7. I had to stay with an aunt who was a mean person. When I turned 21, I came to the United States for a better life. I have been working every single day of my life until today. I can't believe you're bringing me to court on a work day. He knows how difficult it is for me to take a day off." Omar turned his gaze on his son, his voice rising in pained disbelief. "You had a chance to speak," the judge said, motioning to Benny. He turned back to Omar. "You've been successful. You can afford this car he wants, can't you?" "Yes," Omar admitted, his voice quiet. "I am middle class plus, you could say. I could probably make it happen, yes. But when I came here at his age, I never had any money to my name. I had to work for everything I have, every day of my life. I have no college degree. I am a self-taught man. And my son," he said, gesturing, "he lives in my house. He was born and has lived in our house for 21 years. He eats our food. He uses our electricity. He goes to college, yes, a 4.0 GPA. We are very proud of that. But did he tell you he went to private school his entire life? Did he tell you the cost of that private tuition? I paid for it, so he could have the best education." Benny shifted, uncomfortable. "I didn't ask to be put in private school." "You're right," Omar's voice boomed. "I could have sent you to public school. I could have put you in a boarding school and let someone else deal with you. We made the sacrifice so you could have." "And the car." "The car," Omar shook his head. "My wife and we wanted to get him a transportation. A cheap car with high miles just to get from point A to point B. That is all a college student needs. He doesn't need to go to parties, he needs to go to school. But then we decided because he's a gifted student, we would buy a nice car. We got him a $40,000 electric vehicle. I consider an electric vehicle a luxury car. They are not cheap, Your Honor, and he calls it pretty cheap. He calls it cheap because he doesn't know where money comes from. This is what I have to deal with. He wants a Ferrari? He wants a Lamborghini? You have to learn the principle of working for what you want. I bought him a car, a brand new, safe, expensive car. He has a roof over his head. He has food to eat. He is going to college, paid for by the state. What are you complaining about?" The last question was aimed directly at Benny, a raw cry from a father. "Benny, what have I done for you your entire life, if not give you everything?" Benny finally looked up, his jaw set. "So why couldn't you just get me the car I wanted?" "Because you don't deserve it," Omar yelled, the word echoing. The courtroom was dead silent. The father's words hung in the air, a terrible judgment. Omar's anger suddenly broke, his shoulders slumping. He looked at the judge, his eyes filled with a desperate sadness. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand sacrifice. He thinks work is just getting good grades for a prize. He doesn't know what it is to be hungry. He doesn't know what it is to be alone. I have failed. I have failed to teach him. I bought that electric car to teach him responsibility, to show him that luxury isn't about the engine sound, it's about having something reliable, something you earned. But he couldn't finish the sentence. He looked at his son who had become a plaintiff. He saw the designer clothes paid for with an allowance. He saw the diamond stud he had warned him against. He saw the cold transactional nature of his request. "He is my only child, Your Honor. I am not here to argue about a car. I am here because my son is suing me. He is suing me for a gift he didn't like. Whatever you decide, Your Honor, I have already lost. I have lost my son." Omar stepped back from the podium. He sat down, a self-taught man who had built an empire. He had given his son everything he never had, and in doing so, he had created a man he didn't know. The defense rested. Judge Porter took off his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. He looked from the father to the son. The room was so quiet, the hum of the lights felt loud. He looked at Benny, his gaze intense. Mr. Benny, I first want to commend you. Benny sat up a little straighter, a flicker of validation in his eyes. I commend you for your grade point average. You have made a dedication to your academics. I also commend you for your athletic scholarship. There are people with talent who lack your discipline. But here is where you are a disappointment. The words cut through the air, sharp and clean. Benny's lawyer tensed. This man, Judge Porter said, pointing directly at Omar, this man owes you nothing. He owes you absolutely nothing. You are an adult. You are a grown man. This is the first step in being your own person. His job is done. When you were a baby, they fed you, clothed you, and gave you shelter. They did their job. They paid for private schools so you could have the best. You're right, you didn't ask for it. They could have sent you to public school. They could have said, let's spend this money on ourselves. But they made the sacrifice so you could have. He bought you a car. Whether it's an electric car or what we used to call a jalopy, you have a car to get from point A to point B. And how your friends think about it, who cares? Who cares what they think about you? Are you here to satisfy their image or your own? When you start being concerned about what other people think, you set yourself up for failure. Don't give a damn what other people care about. If you show up on a bicycle, your job is to get your education. Your job is to play basketball. If you come across a young lady and she laughs at your car, who cares? That means she's superficial. She cares about what you have, not who you are. You should be concerned with who you are. Benny stared at his hands, his confidence visibly cracking. Love the fact that you have a mother and a father who care about you. Because guess what? There are kids out there who don't. They don't have a family to support them. Because if that man right now said, "Get the hell out of my house," where are you going to stay? You'll use that $50,000 you earned? You could use that money to get your own place. Or you could use it, invest it, grow it. You have help, and you are so blind to that fact. You don't even see this man is still helping you. And you have dragged him into court. You don't recognize that. You don't appreciate that. And now I'm wondering, damn, does he even love this man? Omar Crespo looked down, and a single tear hit the wood table. He was not crying for the money. He was crying because the judge had spoken the question in his heart. Benny flinched, as if the judge had struck him. He finally looked at his father. "I don't have my father here," the judge said, his voice softer. "I didn't have a good relationship with him. I wish I did. If these people walk away from you, who will you have? Your friends? The ones who want to see you in a Ferrari? When that Ferrari crashes, you think they'll be there for you? Hell no! They don't care about you. When it all goes sideways, the only people who will be there for you are the people who are there for you right now. And you are suing one of them. Like your father said, you want a Ferrari? You get drafted. But I'll tell you, this man made it on his own. This man has life experience. You better learn from him. Follow his leadership. Do not dictate your life on materialistic stuff. Do not dictate your life on how other people see you. Because when the chips are down, they will walk away. You are young. You don't have life experience. Your father does. You better learn from him. Because there's going to come a day when he's not here. There's going to come a day when your mom isn't here. And on that day, you will cry. You will wish you had them, just to talk about the weather. You better learn to appreciate them while you have them now, and take the knowledge they have so you can improve your own life. Am I making myself clear? Benny, his eyes shining with tears, finally nodded. Yes, Your Honor. You do understand, Judge Porter said, his voice now formal, that this case is dismissed, right? Yes, Your Honor, Benny whispered. The gavel cracked, sharp and final. Have a nice day. Omar stood up, his body trembling slightly. He looked at his son not with anger, but with a deep, aching sorrow. He walked over, his footsteps heavy. "Come on, son," Omar said, his voice rough. "It'll be fine. We'll go home. We'll talk about it." The central moral of this story is a powerful warning against entitlement and the corrosive nature of materialism. It teaches that true wealth is not measured by luxury possessions, but by the love, sacrifice, and wisdom of family. The story contrasts the son's focus on superficial image, what others think of him and his possessions, with the father's life of unseen sacrifice and hard-won success. The ultimate lesson delivered by the judge is that confusing price with value is a tragedy. A person who fails to see the immense value of their family's support, guidance, and love, all of which are given freely, risks destroying the very foundation of their success in a selfish pursuit of things that do not matter. It is a lesson in gratitude, humility, and the vital importance of seeing the people who support you as gifts, not as resources to be exploited.